Mother's Day tomorrow. Hope you guys are enjoying the weekend. AP, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just, tilting, sweating, whatever you want to call it, golf. Our boy, Patrick Rogers is having a tough go-around. But honestly, this guy, I would rather have him, not be in one of the final two groups tomorrow because obviously he can't handle the pressure. He's not ready for the moment yet. But hopefully he can turn it around tomorrow.
Yeah, and if you get a top 10 on a Pat Rogers, you're sitting pretty, right? So even if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, AP, it says we're muted. Some people in the chat are saying we're muted. Hopefully that's not the case. All right, Alfred times we are good. We are ready to go.
We got the good from Captain. We're good to go.
Everything sounds like it's good. But you're talking about sweating. My feelings are hurt. You got the Giants on in the background. I had Musgrove, so that Brandon Crawford homer was not kind to me. So. Very, very hurtful, but it's okay. We're here for NBA, right? MLB, we got the sweats all day long, right? We got the early slate. There's a nice 6-gamer. We got a later slate, which the White Sox are on, which I'm pumped about. It should be a good spot for them. But we got basketball tonight too, right? And it's a really interesting NBA slate as well, AP. Of course, we're in the Discord chat, always trying to help members out. And it's a great day to be in there because we have 3 7 o'clock games and then we have 4 10 o'clock games, right? So it's going to be interesting to figure out how to really attack it because we have some of these games later on that are great games, but we don't know who's even going to play on that Rockets game. So talk to me a little bit about your strategy tonight because this is not a night I feel like you can just set it and forget it, AP.
Yeah, first off, we got to, speaking of Discord and speaking about good mojo and everything, we got to talk about our guy who shipped last night. I believe his name is Adam Ashbury. I'm trying to – do you know his Discord name? I was trying to find it real quick, but he's literally in there staking people for the 555, the 333. Like multiple people have been staked for tonight's contest. So I've been grinding hard today, to make sure that we are on point with our content, getting ready with the cores, making sure that they're going to be very good for tonight so that we can see all these guys, help them win. That's absolutely the goal. But as far as the slate goes, look, here's the thing with NBA DFS right now. So look, in our Discord yesterday, it was hectic, right around lock. It was a crazy slate. There was only one game starting in the first hour at the 7 o'clock. There's many other better games later on. And, we had up there where, a lot of us were fading the 7 p.m. games. We're trying to be very transparent. I can't necessarily post a core and then constantly change it throughout the night. That's very difficult to do. So please work with us. Be in the Discord if you can. If you know that you're just going to be out and not available at night, take the slate off. You're going to be at a disadvantage right now if you're not able to follow this news right now.
Yeah, definitely going to be important. Listen, I wish I could just tell you exactly what I was doing right now. And I could just not have to worry about it too. But it's going to be a rough one. But this is where your edge is created, in my opinion, right? We're also going to know, you're going to know the outcome of some of the games, right? Listen, I'm going to have Westbrook in the first game. No doubt. He's going to be on my teams. But let's say, and it's not going to happen because Westbrook doesn't do that. But let's say he goes for a really bad game, 40 fantasy points. I got to make some pivots, right? I got to change my team around. And that's one thing that I like about tonight. You're able to do that. And there might be guys that you're expecting are going to be, just in the starting lineup for that Houston team. And then they're not, right? And then that's going to change things up a ton. Malachi Flynn was a great example the other day. He was someone that I think a lot of people expected to start. Well, what do you know? He didn't start, and he didn't have the best game, and he had ownership, and other guys did better. So that's definitely something that gives you an advantage, and we're in there trying to help you out in the Discord chat to get you that advantage. Bobby, how about you? I love these kind of slates where there's a lot of things going on, and it's kind of an all-night event because I think I have an edge when I play with these kind of slates. What's your overall takeaway with there being 3 7 o'clock games, then the 10 o'clock one?
Yeah, you can kind of split this up into 2 slates if you want. Obviously, you're probably plugging in Westbrook in that first 7 p.m. round of games. But then with these late games, with the Rockets, we're definitely going to have news there. So there's late swap equity, and that's good on a Saturday. Like you guys kind of just broke down. People are out partying, drinking. You can kind of take advantage of that, and there's edges there. That's why it's good to stay in Discord and basically just follow along. Check the news. If you're like AP said, if you're out, you might as well just take the slate off because people are trying to take advantage of that edge of people that aren't following the information. So definitely try to make sure you're at your computer to play tonight.
Yeah, definitely be at the computer to play if you are going to. We also have MMA going on. I know Title's got the core plays up. That starts in 40 minutes. So getting on the MMA action, use the code RPSHeater25 to get 25% off your first payment now. Definitely have to get on that. I'm playing some MMA. I hope you guys are too. They had a nice little $3 sweat-free tournament that you could get into. That was a free tournament. I think they're doing that all week long. They're doing like $3 tournaments, like in all different sports. I wonder if tomorrow will be NASCAR or if it'll be baseball. Not sure, but be sure to check that out. Obviously it already filled, but tomorrow there'll be another one of those. We'll do our best to post that in the Discord that it's for that sport for you guys. Again, we're trying to do our best over here at Run Pure to give you an edge. Now, we just got news that came in, and this news matters, right? This Pacers news is big because playing against the Wizards, it gives you a huge edge, gives you more possessions, and these are guys we typically want to target. Malcolm Brogdon, he is out. We also have Ben Simmons and Seth Curry. They are questionable, so that's a big one. We got Cody Martin was ruled out already. We had Graham 20 minutes ago. He was questionable. And then we also have Lamb out, and then we have Sumner will play. So pretty big news here on the Pacers side. AP, I'll go to you first. Does this change anything for you? I feel like I needed all of those guys to be out, but Brogdon being out, it definitely helps a guy like Sabonis. So you're going to have some decision points. Do you play Sabonis against the Wizards with no Brogdon, or do you play a Jokic as a center option that's playing against the Brooklyn Nets and has been printing all season long?
Yeah, I mean, doing this every single day. I've always started out writing when I list all the injuries, it's like Brogdon, he's questionable. Lamb, questionable. Then they always get ruled out. And so, like, I was working under the assumption that they weren't going to play anyway because they always just get ruled out. It is what it is. They'll be curious to see when they play because they've literally been questionable for like weeks now and haven't played. But yeah, I have a ton of interest in Sabonis. I mean, look, like this game, it went absolutely nuclear last week on the 3rd. Sabonis had 74 DraftKings points. Vegas took a harder stance. So like we were laughing last time, we said 245 or whatever the total was then wasn't enough. I don't know if 249 is enough. Like I think this game is just going to be crazy again. Neither side plays defense. They both push the pace. You get tons of usage with Karis LeVert, Sabonis. Those are my two main guys I'm looking at on the Pacers side. But honestly, it's all Russ too. Like people are going to fade him. They're going to look at his price. They're just going to, I don't know. What do you think? Half the field fades him just to get different? Like we got Steph Curry on the slate. We got Kyrie. We got KD. We have Joker. We have Westbrook, Beal, Sabonis. You can't play all those guys. So I don't know. My stance tonight is I might just put him in every single lineup to get as overweight on him as I can. I mean, what are your thoughts about that, Mangone?
Yeah, I mean, you know me, that's definitely approved. And I'm talking DK. Like FanDuel, it's a little different because on FanDuel, you don't get the triple-double bonus. You get knocked for -1 instead of -0.5 for a turnover. Like those add up, here and there. So don't ignore that. FanDuel's a little different, but I think it's easy to get him on FanDuel compared to some other days because of all the extreme values that we have and based on how the positions are set up. Not saying it's a priority, but it's definitely someone I like getting exposure to and probably being overweight on even over there. DK, I mean, I'm not going to suggest it. You can make arguments for it, though, right? Which I think people are going to do. I think they're going to look at some situations and say, hey, I can play a Jokic here in this spot. I could play a Sabonis. I could pair those two guys up. I could pair a Jokic with a Kevin Durant. Hey, the Spurs aren't that great defensively. Damian Lillard, right, at 10.1, as JT calls him. There are guys that talk yourself into the Westbrook fade, which I think people will do. Now, I won't be doing it. Bobby, I know you like to get more different in tournaments. Are you going to get different that way, or are you going to find another way to do it?
It's very, very tough to fade Westbrook, especially at 11K. Like, if they bumped him up, but they just don't want to bump him up, and they're not really giving you any options off him, like, I really find it very hard to fade Westbrook. It's just been crushing. So I'd plug in Westbrook, and then from there, like, obviously, I think that Malcolm Brogdon news kind of gives a bump to LeVert. Like, he's someone, like, it's differentiated on the slate. Like, I really don't think you need it. Sabonis obviously gets a bump. Small forward position, interesting Lamb being ruled out. I think Sumner is someone that'll end up start popping up in some optimals, like, as we go forward. Like, his projection will definitely boost. I don't know if you need it though with the Rockets guys, but just something interesting. Yeah, pretty much. There's not like a ton of plays outside of like like you could say, you could pretty much say, you can make a case for Beal. Like, I don't hate it. I don't mind playing Beal and Westbrook together on the slate, but it's not like something I prioritize. But I don't know. I like Rui at 5. What's he at 5'2" on DK or 5'6"? One of the two. He had a good game against Indy recently. I don't mind him. Those are guys that I'm kind of looking at, and mainly for the Washington guys, just mainly the main guys really that kind of stick out on the Indy side. I don't know. It's just LeVert and Sabonis. Also,
yeah, I actually want to talk about something because we're talking in the chat a little bit. Anthony Massey's asking about Westbrook, right, on FanDuel. And I know we talk more DK typically, but this is worth mentioning when you talk about like roster construction. He's 12K over on FanDuel. And he said we were playing Harden at 13K, but like the difference is he was shooting guard eligible, right? And like every single day, no matter what, on the winning team, it's not a hot take, 2 shooting guards are on the winning team on FanDuel every day. I mean, it's just a known fact, right? So when you build out your lineups on DK, you can get 3 point guards on your teams, right? You can only get 1 center on your team. And basically the way construction goes at times, if you can find 2 point guards that can get it done enough and then find raw points in other areas, it's not going to matter because you do still need to find 2 shooting guards to be able to get the job done. And sometimes the position's so bad, you have to just go get those raw points at like 2 of those shooting guards or 2 of those small forwards. That's why a lot of the time you see people, power forward hasn't been great this year. Like that's why Sabonis and Pascal, you could plug both those guys in and maybe call it a day. Now there are some good values on FanDuel, like Kenyon Martin, I still think is fine at 6'4". I saw some optimals were popping in, McDermott and a Paul Millsap, those like cheaper guys because the position's bad. You just naturally get where sometimes you have to spend up at spots and spend down. And that's why Westbrook isn't just as much of a guarantee over there. It's easier to get him into your lineups over on DK. I did talk about Sabonis on FanDuel a little bit at 10-6. DK, he is similar price tag. Bobby, I'll ask you this question. Sabonis or Jokic? Which guy are you going to?
It's easily Jokic. But I get like in terms of tournaments, like maybe wanting to go to Sabonis. I just think at 10-5, like he's pretty much priced up. He's not someone. And if they made it a little bit more difficult in terms of the pricing, like I'd consider Sabonis. But Jokic is going against Brooklyn. Like don't forget that. Like it's a really good matchup for Jokic. I know it's the back end of a back-to-back, but tough to fade Jokic at this point. So yeah, it's definitely Jokic for me.
Another thing, same thing on FanDuel. It's like his raw points. If he goes for an 80 bomb, like it's going to be tough to be able to catch it because he can separate that gap. But there are a lot of good centers on FanDuel. There's a lot of good centers too on DK that you can go to. Like I said, Sabonis is one of them. Definitely Jokic as well. I'll go back to you, AP. What are you doing with LeVert? Because like LeVert has been one of those guys that I've been plugging in at times in these spots because he's been absolutely crushing it. I think that the projections don't like him as much, but I don't want to ignore him. Now, is the price tag of 9.1 too much? I was playing him at 8K, right? Like, but 9.1, it is a hefty tag. Does he have a ceiling? Yeah, he can still get 60. He got it the other day against Atlanta. Do you feel confident in playing a 9.1K Karis LeVert on this slate, though, AP?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make it work. And one thing I was playing around with earlier when I was looking at builds, I was like, can I play Sabonis, Jokic, and Russ on the same team? And you can't. You're left with like 3.5K per position. You need like 2-3K punts, and I just don't think we have it on the slate. What you can do though is you can play Karis LeVert, Russ. It's Sabonis. It's thin, but if you can find enough value, that type of game stack would work. If we get the same script that we saw when these two teams met last time, it would work. And what you need to happen though is you need something weird to happen in the Nets-Nuggets game, because I don't see how Jokic doesn't put up a monster number here. So it's really, for me, this slate comes down to 3 studs, and I'm trying to rotate them in as much as possible. It's Westbrook, Sabonis, and Jokic. But I am going to have some game stacks where I'm just focusing on like a full Wizards, Pacers, all the key pieces there, which is Russ, Karis LeVert, Sabonis. Aaron Holiday's been fine. Bertans as a punt. Hopefully he can hit some shots. And then if you want to get even crazier, TJ McConnell. His price is up. We were on him last time in this matchup. but he was like 5.3K. He's 1,000 more. So it's definitely riskier. And that's kind of how I'm playing this slate. And if Steph Curry beats me, he beats me. If Siakam, Beal, if they beat me, they beat me. So yeah, that's kind of, how I'm focusing on the studs.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. One thing on this slate too, I think I'd be like, if I was playing two teams, AP, if I was playing KD, if I was playing Jokic, right? If I was playing Westbrook and Sabonis, I would pair them up. I wouldn't be like, hey, let me put Westbrook with KD and then put Jokic with Sabonis. Like, I would keep the game stack together, right? That's kind of how I would do it on this slate. Not saying that the players are bad plays, but if the one side goes off, the other side probably goes off with it. And I want to kind of keep them sort of paired together, I think, when I'm building out my teams. That's kind of sort of the overall thought process I have right now. Bobby, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I think it allows you to get different when you keep the game stacked together. So I don't hate that call. Mangone, what are your thoughts on Ish Smith at 3-3? I really don't want to play Ish Smith, but I'm starting to see him a little bit. And I think ancillary pieces next to Westbrook, I usually try to stay away from, especially with the value that we'll have late.
No, I mean, so here's the problem with value plays today. The value is too good, I think, especially this Houston value. We don't even know all the Houston value and we don't even know exactly what it is because we don't know how many guys are playing and who's playing, but there's a lot of opportunity cost with taking some of these cheap guys that can only get like 18 to 22 minutes, right? I'm not saying that's Ish Smith, but I definitely looked around at some pivots, right? Like one guy I looked at was Georges Niang. I was like, could I make a case for him as like a good value play today? And I think he's okay, but like at the end of the day, I think these Rockets are absolutely going to crush. And I think that there's too much opportunity cost and you can really put yourself in a hole if you don't play those guys. So that is kind of one of my concerns on this slate. AP, do you see that similar? Like that these value plays in the Rockets, we don't know exactly what their minutes are going to be, but they feel like guys I can't ignore.
Yeah, I don't think you can ignore them either. I think we're going to see a very similar situation to what we saw yesterday. Like, for example, DJ Augustine, none of us thought he was going to play like 20 over 20 minutes because we thought they were being cautious with him. He ends up playing almost 30. So like, look, if these guys are playing or if they're starting, know that they can get run and know that it's going to be a very tight rotation and you're going to want exposure to them.
Yep, for sure. No doubt. Let's move on over to the next game. Before we do that, though, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. I don't even know how many likes we have right now, but we'd love to get those up because, hey, that helps us out here. Helps you to give the free content. And hey, if you impress me, again, I have to be impressed. And you guys haven't been doing the best job of that. But if you impress me, I'll find a way to give away some gear to someone. I'll find a way to do it. But you got to impress me with the likes. But that'll wrap up that game. Let's move on over to the next one. AP, I'm going to go to you first. We're talking about the Pistons. We're talking about the Sixers here, and we're waiting on some injury news, right? This is definitely going to be an important game. Talk about both sides here. What are you doing with the injury news on the Philadelphia side? Yeah,
so look, the Detroit side, we've seen the story quite a bit where they shuffle around their rotation, where Plumlee's back in, Jeremy Grant's back in. I'm off the Pistons. What we've seen when these guys come back is a very, a much larger rotation. So it's going to make their minutes a lot riskier. I'd prefer just to avoid it. If Jeremy Grant beats me at 6'9", he beats me, as we often say. I'm far more interested in the Philly side, actually. I think so. Simmons, Embiid, and Curry are questionable. I don't like why would Joel Embiid play? Like I don't get it. Like they're pretty much. I mean, it's an easy matchup. Like I'm going to work under the assumption that there's a good chance that Simmons, Embiid, and Curry maybe sit. And if they do play, I'm off the game. So it's really easy. You just want to be prepared for that news to come late. So like if those guys sit, I would have some interest in Tobias Harris. I would have more interest though in a guy like Shake Milton at 4.2K. But we don't have the news yet, so it's hard to, assume too much. But I do think that we're gonna see some, an Embiid or one of these 1, 2, maybe all three sit, and that's gonna open up a lot of pieces.
Yeah, well, we also just got some news that Jeremy Grant will play. So these Pistons are just a disaster here in this spot. I think they're just a full fade. And again, I like having the opportunity to go to some guys later on, right? And I don't know if I want to lock myself into Pistons. And on the other side, like, I don't want to mess with too many Sixers. I think it depends how the injury news hits. I will say, if you looked yesterday, Embiid was on the winning lineup, right? He was like 4% owned. The guy who won 100K in our Discord chat played some Pelicans, and Embiid, 4% owned, got like a nice 60 bomb, right? Now, he's on a slate, Embiid, now with some guys that are some pretty good stud options, right? Yesterday, they were okay. We didn't have like the Westbrooks, and I don't know. I can't remember if Jokic was on the slate yesterday, but it did feel like the studs were lacking yesterday. So I think Embiid is someone I'm going to stay away from, even if he does come in at a lower ownership, and he could not even play. You never know. So let's kind of wait and see what's going to happen with that injury news. Bobby, are you full stay away from the Pistons, and what are you doing here with the Sixers and the injury news?
Yeah, so if Grant had not played, I still probably wouldn't have had a ton of interest in the Pistons. Grant playing, like, he's the only one I'd even consider, but not really considering him too much. And then outside of that, in terms of Philadelphia, if Simmons, if Embiid, if Curry were to sit, we're going to have a situation where a guy like Tobias Harris would be a very good play automatically. And then in that situation, also Korkmaz and these other ancillary pieces. But do we prefer them to the Houston guys? Like, I don't really prefer them to the Houston guys as of right now. Maybe that could change if that situation were to come up. So yeah, I don't know. That pretty much for me, I'm pretty much off this game. It's going to be the Washington and Pacers game, and then wait for the 10 o'clock games pretty much.
Yep, I think that's a good way to go. I do think this next game, though, is a pretty good one. I don't know exactly how I'm approaching it completely. I do think there's some players that I want to play, and some that I see that are popping up that I don't know if they're plays. They feel like they're kind of trapped, but we'll talk about it again. This is the 7:30 game, which is a nice 30-minute gap between the next games. We got the Memphis Grizzlies. We got the Toronto Raptors here. And AP, I'll go to you first. So I see Memphis Grizzly guys popping up on some teams, and I just don't know if I want to waste the spot on them, right? Like, it kind of felt like yesterday. Not saying Najee Marshall was a bad play. I thought Najee Marshall was a good play, but I looked at yesterday's slate and I said, I'm not going to lock myself into Najee Marshall. I don't think he's worth locking myself into because I think there's other things later on that I can work with. Now, Marshall was fine. He didn't have a bad game. He didn't have a terrible game, right? You were happy with his performance, but you didn't need him. He wasn't a priority in order to win. He could have been on winning lineups, but that's how I feel about some of these guys. I think, yes, could some Memphis guys land on the winning lineup? Yes, they could, but I don't think they're going to just blow the slate out of the water and you need them. It's 10 o'clock and you're like, man, I don't have, this Memphis player. I think I'm okay with fading some of these guys. And then on the Raptors side, I do feel scared about fading some of these guys here in this spot, right? You have Malachi Flynn, who now is starting without no Fred VanVleet, no Kyle Lowry. There is a Gary Trent Jr., who you can argue is underpriced. Gary Trent Jr., we kind of saw in this almost type of spot. He was 6'8". He was $7K at one point. You got Pascal Siakam at $9K, who you can make an argument for could have a massive game here against the Grizzlies front court that I'm not scared of. So a lot of different options. Even Ken Burch at 6'1" is in play, AP. What are you doing with this game? Because I think there's some stuff to like.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned Grizzlies guys popping. I think you'd be referring to what, Brandon Clark maybe and Desmond Bane, those two guys?
Yeah, Clark and Bane. Even I see for instance, if you play two studs, sometimes if you have so much value, it mixes in a random mid-tier guy. A Kyle Anderson pops in there, which isn't the craziest thing in the world because the Raptors are terrible defensively. And it doesn't shock me, but I just don't think these are guys I want to prioritize because I think it can hurt my roster construction throughout the night.
Yeah, the only guy right now on the Memphis side I have some interest in is Brandon Clark because he's back into his off-the-bench rotation where he's getting 21 to 24 minutes, and he's productive off the bench too. We know what we're going to get out of him. I don't think he's going to put up a number though that wins you a tournament by himself. You're going to need your studs if you're playing him. You're going to need your studs to get you there. You know what I mean? So
here's one thing I'll say, AP. Brandon Clark comes with opportunity costs, right? Because you could have Kelly Olynyk in a perfect spot. You could have Jokic in a really good spot. So that's one thing to mention with Brandon Clark is yes, I think he's fine, but there could be huge opportunity costs at that big man position.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Very good point. I think so. For me, the main guys I'm looking at though, it's the Toronto side. We know they're going to play big minutes. That's Malachi Flynn. That's Gary Trent Jr. Look, like if you're looking at Malachi Flynn recently, it's a mistake because he was playing alongside Van Vliet. He was playing alongside Lowry. It's a different setup. The ball's not in his hands. Those two guys are running the offense. So now it's going to be his offense to run. My one concern, and this is talking if you're multi-entering or if you're if you're in a big tournament and you want to make stand and a fade, what you could do is you could play one or the other of Trent and Flynn, because we could also see Trent just like try to take over the game too, kind of like Lowry and Van Vliet do. So I'm going to have a couple of them in my lineups like together, and then I'm going to stagger them as well. It's a multi-entry night for me. I'm locking in my studs that we talked about, and then it's a mix and match with a lot of these other pieces down here. So the other, I think I'm going to be off Siakam at 9K. I get it. I mean, he's coming off a monster number. He has upside, obviously. 70 DK points, 2 out of his last 3 games. What are they? They're not even on a back-to-back. I don't know. I could talk myself on to getting a little sprinkle of him since he's been treating us so well. But it's hard. It's like, do I really want him over, Sabonis or like Jokic or one of these other guys? There's a lot of decisions to be made, and Siakam just keeps being one of those guys that's just kind of getting the cut for me.
Yeah, I'm torn at what to do with him because, like, you can make a case for him in the game logs, right? 70 fantasy point game against Washington. Now that was an overtime game, but the usage is going to be funneled to him. So I do think he's in play. Don't play Stanley Johnson. I'll say that. He is not a guy to play. Bobby, I'll go to you. Got people in the chat. They're talking about Gillespie over Johnson. And the Raptors, they are thin in the front court. So do you think that's an interesting pivot there?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I also think the price for Siakam might be more interesting than, like, he's at 9K, right? Like, so if you're trying to fade like a Jokic or a Sabonis, 9K to 10.6 or in 10.8, like it makes, or 10.9, it makes sense to kind of maybe go there and differentiate your construction with like 2 high usage guys like Van Vliet and Lowry both being out. So I don't like hate it. He has done really well for us. So I don't like hate the idea of pivoting to him. Malachi Flynn and Trent, like, they're obviously very good play. I shouldn't have said it. For some reason, I thought this game started later. They're going to be like pretty much staples in a lot of like higher stake stuff. I think you'll see they'll get pretty heavy ownership. Really like those plays. I like the idea of like maybe playing one of the two, just because it would kind of differentiate your construction, and there could be pivots within this the small forward and shooting guard spots later on. So I don't mind doing that. I don't mind those guys. On the other side, Ja Morant, I don't want to play Ja Morant, but he's getting Malachi Flynn now opposed to Kyle Lowry at 8,400. Had a 60-point game 2 days ago. Like, I hate Ja Morant, but if you're playing like MME, like, he's someone to consider. It is a 6-game slate. So that would pretty much be it. I don't mind the Gillespie move for Stanley Johnson. I'm never going to play Stanley Johnson. DeAndre Bembry, I don't hate either. Birch is up to 6-1. I wish he was still at 5K. I think he'd be interesting in tournaments. That would pretty much be it. Anyone else seeing anything here?
Someone's saying Bembry's out in the chat. Did you say
is
that?
Is he out? I should keep, yeah.
No, he should be in. I don't think he's out, but no, yeah, he's in. I wouldn't worry about it.
Korkmaz was out. They got me on Korkmaz.
No, yeah, that's that. No, he's in, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. I heard you mention Ja Morant, and like the Ja thing. I get it. It's just the minutes, right? Like, I swear, I have to not only hope that Ja Morant like has a big game, but like he has to get the minutes also. Like, if he gets the minutes, he has to play well. So it's like
he has to be the most frustrating roster there is in the NBA.
And he's 8-4, right? Like, I think I'd rather go other spots. AP, do you think Ja Morant or even like a Valanciunas, like, there's clearly his opportunity here, right? Like the Raptors, hey, it is a Valanciunas revenge game if you like that kind of stuff. And the front court of the Raptors is not the best. I know it's gotten better with Birch, but is Valanciunas at all an interesting pivot, AP, in tournaments?
Like a donkey, muted. I mean, yeah, you could play him. I don't find myself getting there. Like, it's tough. Like, this Memphis rotation right now is brutal, and we have a lot of safety in rotations that we know in other spots on the slate. I don't feel like I need to take that risk, And so for me, I would rather get extremely overweight on the spots I'm very confident about and then mix and match some of these punts and pivots and plays that we're looking at. So I'm not playing John Moran at 8-4. I mean, yeah, he did put up some big numbers, you know, a 63 piece against the Wolves. I don't see that happening here. The other thing too is, you know, Malachi Flynn, he's more of a traditional point guard. I don't think he's going to push the pace like Kyle Lowry and Van Vliet were. Like they were on missions to act like that game Lowry was playing against the Lakers. Man, he was out to just slaughter them, and he did. And he was pushing the pace. I think we could actually see a slower pace game here. So I'm not going to be playing Morant. Probably won't be playing Valanciunas, but I get the Valanciunas call if you get there.
Yeah, and Massey brings up a good point in the chat. Ja is 7-1 on FanDuel, which definitely is a pretty nice price tag over there compared to 8-4. So it's always good to do the price shopping, right? So be sure to do that. Bobby, any final thoughts on this game?
That's pretty much it. I do think, like I said at the top, Siakam's an interesting pivot as a big on the slate.
All right, that'll wrap it up for that one. Let's move on over to the next one. But before we do that, AP, can you tell the people a little bit about our sponsorship over at SuperDraft? All you gotta do is use that code RUNPURE to get a $100 deposit bonus. But AP, tell the people a little bit about SuperDraft and what we're doing over there.
Yeah, SuperDraft, real simple site. If you are, maybe a lower volume player, if you like setting your lineup and kind of forgetting about it, I think it's easier to do that on that site, to be honest. I feel more comfortable about, setting my lineups somewhat early because sometimes the 1.5 or 1 point, the multipliers are just way off to where I already know there's very little news that could change my opinion on a player. Like, Malachi Flynn, 1.65x. We know he's going to play 34 minutes tonight. We know the ball's going to be in his hands. He's a fantastic play over there because we're getting 1.65x fantasy points that he piles up. So you can make the same case about the Houston guys too. Armani Brooks, 1.75x. Kenyon Martin, another guy that's getting tons of minutes. You could look at Kelly O. So I think it's an awesome site, real easy, real laid back, real simple. And it's a ton of fun.
Sorry about that. I was doing the refresh on the YouTube page, which and I didn't want the autoplay to go off and it just echo in the background. But I know the chat was just talking about it too. I don't know why YouTube doesn't just like update the likes whenever they go through. So I wanted to see where we're at. We're at 90 likes with 308 watching. So let's get those up. That'll wrap up the super draft stuff. Let's talk about this next game. And this
Did we lose Bobby Gomes? Is he just gone?
Oh, where is Bobby? I don't know. Yeah, where is Bobby?
It's like that GIF, the peace GIF, and he just see you later.
Yeah, I guess he just did peace out on us.
He's gone. Bobby Gomes is gone. Where did he go?
Because I don't have like the 3-man thing up. I have like the small little thing where it just whenever who's talking or the other person that's there, it shows their face. So I wouldn't have seen Bobby's face and maybe thrown something to him. Would have been a little awkward there. But hopefully Bobby hops back in here shortly. He actually just sent me a text now, but let me look at the first game.
Well, hopefully Captain can fix the show because we're coming up. There he goes.
But
come on, Bobby Gomes.
We got the 7 and 7:30 games done. We closed the door on that. Now we open up the 10 o'clock games. And let's start with the OKC and the Warriors. We'll hopefully give Bobby time to talk about that Rocket game. But, oh, man, AP, this seems like a really good game to fade. Now, if things change, right, if OKC says, hey, like we have this 3K guy, that is going to start out of nowhere, I'm sort of interested, right? Like if they got guys that are going to start that are blowout proof, I would be intrigued, but I don't want to touch many of these OKC guys. I know Moses Brown is 4'9", where you can make a case for his ceiling that he could obviously have a big game. I don't think I want to go there. And the Warriors, I'm worried about blowout, which makes me worry about Curry, makes me worry about Draymond. Now, I don't worry about it for some of these cheaper guys. I think you can make a case for a Michael Mulder, who I played the other day, who ended up getting it done for me. So I was pretty happy about that. He played during the first quarter, second quarter, and then got all that blowout run and got there, which I kind of expected. You got guys like JTA, Juan Toscano Anderson. I think you can make cases for these guys, but you're not jamming them in your lineups. So there are more guys I think you're mixing and matching through 150 lineups. What do you think? Yeah,
you got to be really careful with this OKC team right now. They're in full evaluation mode. evaluating all these guys that we have no idea who they are, like Charlie Brown, Gabriel Deck, etc. But the other thing too in this game, we saw a very like structured rotation where the scrubs are all playing together, and then they're a little bit better scrubs, their starters were also playing together. So no one saw over 30 minutes. Everyone saw between 22 and 29 minutes. We're going to see something like that again tonight. I do have a little bit of interest in some of these guys I'm looking at, because like with Ty Jerome out now, that's going to open up some minutes at least. So the guys that like maybe I will give a look, and I'm multi-entering tonight, so I can kind of take a risk on a few of these guys. But Gabriel Deck, he's actually shown at least some upside. The minutes aren't there, which is always going to be a concern. And it's not like he's cheap. He's 4.2K, so there's a lot of risk there. But if for some reason they decide to give him more minutes, he's a guy that's been producing. If you need a full-on punt, like Tony Bradley's a guy that can produce, and put up a big number in a short amount of time. He's 3.4K. So, like, I don't love any of these guys. I'm randomly sprinkling in a couple of these guys into my builds. It'll be interesting once we get the starting lineups, though, because, like, what if randomly, like I'm just looking right now, like, Svi isn't out, right? I know we don't like him, but he's 3K. We know he's going to shoot the ball. What if randomly, so it's a 10 o'clock game, what if, like, he's just randomly starting? So that's one of the benefits to waiting and having at least some spots open. If a guy like that just starts, he's going to chuck. Like if Lou Dort's out, they move Svi up or whatever, at least he's going to chuck when he's in there. I don't think he's good or anything like that, but at least he's shown upside. He has a couple 39, a couple 40-point games on the season. So something to look out for, but I would not like go overboard on this spot.
Yeah, and the chat said, McLongrod said, the mojo's back, and that means Bobby Gomes is back. So, Bobby, what happened there? We got you back here, though. Oh, Bobby, your audio's not working.
I was on mute. Oh,
my whole system just reset. That was absolutely insane. I don't know what was going on there. Did I miss? We're talking OKC.
You missed nothing. I mean, OKC and the Warriors. Well, I mean, do you want to play some Svi? I know AP talked about Svi a little bit, and you played him.
I'm not playing Svi. It's just an example.
yeah, it's fair. You're probably not playing him, but good point.
It's funny you mentioned Svi, because when you were on that when Dort was getting all that usage, that big tournament was on DK. Dort was ruled out, and Svi got like all those minutes for whatever. That was like 3 weeks ago or whatever. But
interesting. My only problem is, like, you can tell with OKC, like, if you watch the minutes, like just like a good example is, like, tune into the OKC game about like halfway through the game and look at the minutes. They all have 10 minutes. Like, everyone is at 10 minutes, and like they just never give anyone like 36 minutes. So it's quite frustrating, Bobby.
Can we talk about Moses Brown a little? Because I think he's played 28 and 32 in his last 2 games. Bigs versus Golden State, 4,900. Like, I don't hate it. His minutes have just been fluctuating pretty much for the last month, so it's kind of difficult to roster him, but I don't mind it, especially versus the Warriors at that price. People aren't going to target OKC because, like you said, they got everyone back. They're pretty much fully healthy. I don't mind Moses Brown and GPPs.
Yeah, no, JSU actually talked about him earlier today when I was on the phone with him. So I get what you're doing there. It's just it's
there's
so hard
that's the confirmation. Moses Brown might be the guy tonight.
I will say, if JSU puts up a core, I wouldn't be shocked if he was in him, but there is some risk to it, right? So
it's funny. He was gonna be in. So when I was doing like my stuff earlier, I was gonna like throw him in there. I like him at 4,900.
Yeah, if he gets the minutes, I get it, but I'm struggling with it. Podfresh is asking, and AP, what do you think? Bobby is grinning from ear to ear when he just got back. What do you think was going on? Did we get a quick bench session? Is that what happened with the computer there, AP?
I don't go that fast, dude. 1 minute, man.
I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't know what your number is. I'm just.
I like to take my time,
I thought maybe he went and like took a hit or something, I thought maybe that's why he's all smiles. Pulling a hold on us.
On a Saturday, you never know on a Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be like G Rising, breaking out some of the weed and getting some Modelo's going, basically. Watching some games and having a good time. But that was pretty good from the chat. I don't really got too much else to say from this game. I'm not paying up for those studs, I don't think. Just not the best spot for them. If it's going to be close, yeah. Like, if you stack up some Thunder, run it back with some Warriors. But I don't suggest doing it. That's just my opinion, and that's what I'm doing with this game. I'm kind of staying away as best as I can, unless we get some crazy news. Let's go talk about this game, though, the Rockets and the Jazz. We got 225 total, and we have a team that's shorthanded, right? It's a back-to-back as well, so you could see Augustine be like a guy that is dressed but doesn't play. Same with Daniel House. It would not shock me, AP. What are you doing with these guys? They're very questionable. How are you handling this situation?
Yeah, so we have most of that news, I believe, and not most of it, but the only guys now that are questionable, Jason Tate and Kelly Olynyk. I'm trying to see, and so they have DJ Augustine, Daquan Jeffries, KJ Martin, Kelly O. Then they got Lamb, Brooks, and then House. So one of Kelly O and Tate probably have to play or at least suit up, or they only have 7 guys or 6 guys. So I think we see Kelly O play. He's looked good. There's no reason why, why would they sit him here? I mean, he's just been a beast on this team, and he's just trying to prove his worth right now, right? Isn't that what he's doing? I mean, he's obviously, carrying this team fantasy-wise.
Well, he's trying to get paid too, right? I mean, he can.
Yeah,
I think
he looks good out there.
So, someone like Lonzo, he's going to get paid. Someone is going to give him the house, right? It's going to be one of those things where it's like, Lonzo got a max deal. And you're going to be like, what? Why is he getting one? But it makes sense. He's been playing great. Kelly O, he's trying to get as much money as he can. I mean, that always happens. When we shake our heads that Jeremy Grant is getting, paid with the Pistons, this is why, right?
The other guy I would prioritize, this kid, he looks good. KJ Martin. He's never, that high owned. Maybe I'm thinking about someone else, but he put up 47 last night, 50 against Philly the night before, and he's playing every single minute of these games. So he's a guy that they just, a workhorse type of guy, but he's been producing. DJ Augustine, he's another guy that too, I have him kind of as tagged as kind of a priority. If he's going to get 28, 29 minutes, he's going to be productive out there. And I see this game being kind of back and forth. The Jazz are just going to outscore them. They're not going to beat them by good defense. They're going to hit threes and do what the Jazz do. They're better than any other team at hitting threes, and the Rockets are not going to be able to keep pace. I think it's going to be a very fantasy-friendly environment, though. So this is a game that you have to get right when you're thinking about the structure of your builds. And that's why I'm tagging DJ Augustine, KJ Martin, kind of as core guys that I want in there, Amari Brooks. The only problem with Brooks, we used to be able to play him at the shooting guard spot. Now we can't, which is not good on DraftKings, because before we could just, throw him at shooting guard, and then we still have all of our guard spots left open. So it's a decision point for me. It's Brooks or Augustine. I'm not probably jamming them both into my lineups because it takes away from other guys that we want to get in there.
No, that's a fair point. That has definitely been an issue. It was an issue for me yesterday. I wanted Brooks at that shooting guard spot, and he wasn't eligible there. It was quite frustrating. Lamb started yesterday, and I expect him to start again. And I think he's going to be a really good value here. I kind of like Martin over Olynyk. If you force me to pick one, if I can only play one guy, I lean him as my big man. And that's something I kind of had a decision point when I was looking through some construction. So that's kind of my lean there, but you never know. Wood could end up playing, and it could shake some stuff up. Bobby, I'll go to you. Again, this is injury news. We'll be in the Discord chat giving our thoughts on it. How are you handling this Rocket situation, Bobby?
Yeah, it seems extremely difficult to fade a DJ Augustine. Also, Kenyon Martin and Anthony Lamb, for that matter, at 4,100. These guys really stick out. I probably prefer DJ if I had to rank them, then Martin, then Lamb. As of right now, we don't know what the Christian Wood news for Olynyk. Kind of need that news. Armani Brooks up to 4,700, and he's pretty much he's more shooting dependent. So not someone I'm really prioritizing. I definitely prefer DJ at the 3.7 price tag, 900 cheaper. It just makes more sense. That would pretty much be it. Is Kevin Porter out? Do we know if he's out for sure at 8K?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah,
he's out. Yeah,
he's out. He's out.
That's pretty much.
It could be a but he's out. But the Wood thing is going to be big because what if Wood plays and then Olynyk doesn't? That wouldn't surprise me if it happened out of nowhere.
Could happen.
What?
That could happen, and then that he's going to see all the usage in that situation.
Yep, and that's another reason why I kind of lean to Martin and like some of the cheaper guys for sure.
Wait. What did you say? Wood?
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Can he randomly play?
No, he's been ruled out.
Oh,
so,
you're right. He's 2 games. Yes.
The only news we're waiting on is Tate or Kelly O, but one of them has to play. And my prediction is we see Kelly O probably play.
No, you're right. I forgot. I saw that yesterday. It was he's out for 2 games. So he's out for this one and then the next one. But the Tate no Linux stuff, right? And here's the chat. They're getting on me now. Christian Wood is out. Yes, my bad, guys.
Saturday, guys. Saturday.
The Tate, but this stuff matters because the Tate stuff, I don't think people realize with Tate why he's questionable and it's really big is that was COVID protocol stuff, right? It wasn't like an actual real injury. So there is a chance because it could have been like a false positive, right? And if he gets like a certain amount of false I'm blanking here. False COVID tests that go through, right? If he gets like 2 or 3, I forget how many it is, then he's back on the team, right? It's not like a real injury. So he could easily be back tonight. And that could shake up a lot of stuff there. And Tate could be playing point guard too, right? That's another thing. I wouldn't be shocked if DJ Augustine randomly sits and then Tate goes into the point guard role because he has played that role. And that would shake up some other stuff. So a lot could happen. I suggest leaving open some roster spots. Keep in mind, if you're playing the next game, right? If you're playing Jokic in this next game against the Nuggets, and then news hits and you have to change some stuff and you have to move off of Jokic and you don't want to move off of Jokic, basically say to yourself when you're building out your team, I'm not moving off of Jokic and he is locked in there for me, and don't count that as a flexible piece because later on you might be frustrated because you're like, now I have to get off of Jokic and I wasn't expecting to. Well, you should have planned for that. That's something that you have to add into the calculation of trying to put together your full roster. So that's something I just wanted to mention there because I've ran into those issues already this season and have gotten off some plays that I didn't want to. And that's just kind of my thought process on it when I'm building out my one team every single night. Let's go over to the next game, though, and talk about it because Rockets will be in the Discord chat talking about all that news when we're leading up to the 10 o'clock games and breaking that down for you. Again, use that code RPSHeater25 or use the code GETBETS. Joey Work is in the chat on our bet side. That gets you access to the bets side as well. So use one of those codes, either get 25% off or get the bet side for a month for free. AP, I want you to talk to me about this Nets game. Talk to me here about this Nuggets game as well. Together, these are games that we're going to be loading up on. You have to like this Nuggets side, and I think you have to like running back some Nets as well in tournaments, AP.
I mean, not for me. Because it's like, okay, who's the best player in this game? It's Jokic, and it's not close in my opinion. Just because he gets all the peripherals, dominates all the usage. On the Nets side, we've seen it's Kyrie or KD, one or the other, and so we already know Russ is just in a smash spot. I'm just going Russ and then Jokic. I think it's very simple, very easy. I'm actually not on a ton of these Nets guys. I hope we see a game where Kyrie and KD do their thing, but they don't put up a number that kills us, if that makes sense. Maybe they land in the mid-50s, but Russ puts up 70. We want Russ over a 55 from Kyrie, a 56 from KD. And so that's kind of how I'm playing it tonight. And if Russ sucks, then it's not going to be a good night for me. But he's been very good to us. So the other guys I like, Campazzo. He's just been so good. And he's racking up the peripheral stats too. And so I think you can pair him and Jokic. And I don't even think you need to force a run back here if you're targeting that other game that we like, the Wizards and Pacers. So for me, I'm keeping it real simple. Love Jokic. Love Campazzo. I'm probably not going to get to MPJ. Millsap is cheap, but I just try to avoid that guy if I can. And it's kind of how I'm playing it.
Yeah, what the problem with Millsap now is? So Mike Malone was a donkey, and he used to just give him minutes, and we used to be able to he's one of those guys that's like a usage guy, and if he gets minutes, he will do something with the minutes, right? But his minutes haven't been the best. I mean, it's been better, 24 and 26, but I mean, at his price, you can make an argument he could do something. Not one of the stronger plays, but he's in play, I think, on this slate. If you're doing the stars and scrubs approach, a cheap option that I like is Austin Rivers. I think Rivers, I mean, he seems like he really is growing into this role that he has, and the Nets is a really good spot for him, I think. This is a good matchup. I feel like that he can definitely thrive in. So I like Austin Rivers a bit. He is someone that we've seen when he's been on teams where he's able like to do a bunch of like, have a lot of opportunity, he has like gotten like 50 to 60 point fantasy games. I mean, that has happened before, right? I mean, when like the Rockets were shorthanded at times, he has done that. And this Nuggets team is shorthanded. And if he gets hot, I wouldn't be shocked if he went for 40 to 45, even 50 fantasy points at that cheap tag. I'm not saying it will happen, but I think it's something he could do. Just like Campazzo the other day. I mean, Campazzo had a 50-point fantasy game the other day. I know he's a little bit pricier, but there is opportunity there for one of these guards to have a really, really big game, especially in a matchup against the Nets. So I'm not ignoring them, and I'm not really ignoring Kyrie either in tournaments. I doubt he makes my one team, but on FanDuel, I'm kind of considering Kyrie at that price tag a 10.1K because I know what his ceiling can be. I know he can get buckets, and if this game does stay close, Kyrie could easily be part of it. Bobby, what's your take on these Nuggets and a guy like Kyrie is like a tournament guy to run back?
Yeah, I think a couple things you just said there are super sharp, especially with Rivers at 4-1. He's going to see 28 to 30 minutes. You have DJ at 3-7, so that could be an interesting tournament pivot. Talking about these Nuggets, if I have to rank them, obviously, Bigs versus the Nets, Jokic, Millsap, JaMychal Green at 3-4. I don't mind that. That would pretty much be it. Aaron Gordon, like he doesn't obviously with how ball dominant Rivers is and how ball dominant Jokic is, you don't really want to go there, but he is 4'9", so that's something to consider an up and down game. In terms of Kyrie, he's going to be the one stud at 10K that's going to go overlooked, right? And this could be a really good Kyrie game. It could set up really well for him, so I don't hate him. Not on KD, 10-2, just don't really love the price. But if I had to choose one net, it'd probably be Kyrie. And Joe Harris at 5-2. He'd be another guy like you see Bogdanovich last night went for 70 versus this Nuggets team. Not that they're Joe Harris, obviously, not like trying to compare them. I don't think they're similar. They're both shooters, right? So I think that Joe Harris at 5-2 would be someone in large field stuff you could take a shot on here. That would be pretty much it for me.
Yeah, another good bounce back candidate in this game is Michael Porter. I know, so he's 8-7 on DK.
So you're there.
Well, here's the thing: 8-7 on DK. It's a tough price tag. FanDuel, he's 7K, right? I mean, FanDuel
makes a lot more sense.
And you have to play two small forwards. Now he's going to be more, ownership's going to be up, but this is something too. I talked about a little bit. If we get a lot of value, right, which we could have a lot of value in the Rockets. It's okay sometimes to like overspend on a guy that could have a massive ceiling game. And like Porter Jr., if he went for 55 to 60 fantasy points, you wouldn't be shocked and you'd still be happy with it, right? At that tag. So I don't mind on slates when I have a lot of extreme value doing an overspend to get the lower ownership. Because again, the value plays are so, I feel like they can be so strong at times that we need just one or two small differentiation plays to do it. And if I have to overspend by like $600, $700 to do it, I think it's okay to do. Just depends on how you fall on it. Won't make my one team, but I think in tournaments it's worth mentioning. AP, do you like doing that sometimes in tournaments, doing that overspend on a guy? Because I think it does work later in the year when we have a lot of value.
Yeah, I mean, that can work. We got some big news. Jaren Jackson Jr. starting. I wasn't expecting that. He's 5'7". What this tells me is that we can see 30 minutes out of him tonight in a really friendly matchup. I think – so now it's, man, we got a loaded front court or power forward spot tonight. I mean, you got Kelly O, you got Kenyon Martin, you got now Jaren Jackson. Then you got some of the values that we were talking about as well. So it's going to be a fun position tonight, especially on DraftKings.
Yeah, I guess my only problem with a guy like Jaren Jackson on DK specifically is how loaded you said power forward was, right? And like, let's say I play. I'm trying to think of another power forward I would play around. Like, I'd probably play Jaren. If you played Jaren Jackson, like, let's say I played Sabonis, right? Well, now I'm out of two power forward spots, and like, I just think it could like hinder my construction a bit. So I think that's just going to make me stay off of Memphis more. But on FanDuel, Jaren Jackson is 5.3K, and he's a steals and blocks kind of guy, right? Like, so if he's starting to, he played 25 minutes last game. If you tell me he can play 32 minutes and he got 34 fantasy points, yes, he got the 4 steals, but he's a stocks kind of guy, so it wouldn't shock me. Bobby, what about you? What are you doing with Jaren Jackson with this news?
I like the Jaren Jackson call. Like, Jaren Jackson's at 5'7". I think Kenyon Martin Jr. is going to be extremely high owned. He's going to be playing relatively the same minutes as Jaren Jackson in this instance for much higher ownership. So in tournaments, like I don't hate that pivot. Like, I think that's pretty interesting. I know the power forward spot's loaded but it becomes like a salary issue where you just pay up the 400, like you were talking about spending up on these slates. And well, obviously it's not spending up, but it's spending up relative to where you would be in construction at Kenyon Martin Jr. and taking the Jaren Jackson at less ownership, playing the same amount of minutes. I like the Jaren Jackson call. I think it's interesting for GPPs, even with a lower loaded power forward position.
I'll say this: I'm Martin over Jackson, no matter what I think. I don't think it could sway me. AP, how about you? Would you? I mean, is it an ownership thing that can maybe get you to do it? Because I have to play Martin, I think, over Jackson for me.
Yeah, I would, but what I'm saying is both. I think both have upside relative to their price, and if you're looking for a couple mid-tier plays to get in there with your two spend-ups, it could make sense for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. There is definitely.
Like I would play him over Kyle Anderson or whatever that slow-mo guy that we're talking about.
Definitely, I would agree on that. That'll wrap up that one. Don't have too much more to say. I think there's one more game. I lost my spot here. Yeah, we got the Spurs and the Blazers. And AP, I'll go to you. I mean, you can make cases for Lillard, right? You can make cases for some of these guys, but this feels like a good fade spot. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, and I love Dame. Dame's one of my favorite players, but how do you play him on the slate? Honestly, this is the game I want to just fade completely. I'm not playing the Spurs tonight. There's nothing I'm playing here. I'll make it very easy. Full fade for me.
I think the only argument you could make here for me, and like, I'm looking at the standings real quick. I don't know if this is a big game.
God, Dame's been good too. Since
good.
I'm multi-entering, I could have one Dame lineup. I'll just say that, but not more than one.
The thing about Dame is like they are fighting for that 6 seed, right? And like they're finally in it. So like you can make a case that like maybe Dame, like again, he saw 39 minutes against the Lakers. Like if you're telling me he's gonna see 39 minutes against the Spurs, now I know it's a back-to-back, so you might not see that, but you can make an argument for it. But again, I like the other studs. I like Westbrook. I like Jokic. Bobby, how about you? Are you getting exposure to this game in tournaments?
It's hard to play, like you guys said, like it's hard to choose Dame over these other studs. He's at 10-1. Like I wish he was, I don't know. It's just like he's going to be above 10K regardless. He's Dame. It's just a matter of like the opportunity cost, and I'd rather just play Westbrook. There's other guys in that range. I think I'd rather play Kyrie even, but if the minutes thing is now like totally making, like if he's going to play that many minutes and he's going to be lower owned, I get the point of just playing him if they're in contention playing for something. I don't know. I still think I'd rather go in other directions. I'm not really too high on Dame for the slate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. I think he makes some sense, but like I think I'd rather like just go to a Kyrie instead. I think I like his ceiling a little better if that game stays closer. It's definitely tough though. But I don't got too much else to say here. Let's move on and talk about our plays of the day. AP, I'll go to you first. Give me your play of the day for this slate.
Yeah, I'm gonna say because I can't take. I'm not gonna say like Ross or anything. I'm gonna say Jaren Jackson. I think he gets 30 minutes tonight. I think. Cave Alex been on kind of, with Memphis, one thing that they do to get ready for the playoffs, start to tighten up the rotation, get these guys minutes. They want Jaren Jackson playing 30-plus minutes. So hopefully we see it tonight at a discounted price and low ownership. I don't think he's going to be high owned at all.
Well, if they're tightening up that rotation, that hurts some of those guys that are the bench guys, right? So watch that too, because those guys have been getting better minutes, and now they're maybe not getting those. And some of the projections might not be adjusted for that. I'll give you my play here. I am going with Mr. Austin Rivers at 4.1. Now, I get it. I love these Rockets. I'm not going to ignore them. I'm going to have Rockets in my lineup. But if you're looking for a pivot as a cheaper option at 4.1, I like Austin Rivers to get more than 5x, right? I think even 6x, even 10x. I wouldn't be shocked if he got the 40 fantasy points. So give me Austin Rivers as my guy to make a little bit of a pivot on your teams. Bobby Gomes, we'll go over to you. Give me your play of the day.
I'm going to go back to Moses Brown, 4.9. Got the JSU confirmation, too. He was someone I was looking at earlier. 28, 32 minutes, last two games. Think he's going to go overlooked. Like both calls that you guys had, Rivers. Aaron Jaren Jackson. I think those are all interesting as well for tournaments. Yeah, let's go. Let's crush tonight, guys. Let's run pure on a Saturday.
All right, yeah, those are our lower owned plays that we're looking at in tournaments there. But that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. Hit that like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all the shows we got. We got tomorrow. We'll have the MLB show. We'll have the NBA show. So be sure to check that out. For me, Mangone, Bobby Gomes, and AP. See you guys later.